All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Five String Stampede Town Hall. I'm the league director, Brian Russell. Thank you for joining us tonight. Much like we do for all of our events, we want to give everyone who dialed in tonight a preview of what to expect for the upcoming weekend. I'm joined by several members of the league staff who will walk you through the schedule and the plan. And this one is pretty exciting for our league. It's our first ever Western venue, and I wanted to start with just a little bit of the backstory on how this came to be. This is private property, and I think most people know that at this point. And the landowner over a year ago contracted Ed Sutton of Trail Dynamics to come in and build him some mountain bike trail. The owner is a mountain bike enthusiast, just wanted a place to ride on his property. And in a conversation with Ed Sutton, the owner asked Ed, like, "Hey, how do I maintain this trail?" And Ed's famous saying is, "Well, Chuck, people need trails, but trails need people. You need to put people on this trail and kind of burn it in and dial it in. And hey, I know this guy Brian. He does this NICA thing in North Carolina, and he can bring out probably a couple hundred kids and help burn in that trail system." So we met with Chuck back in the fall, and he is all about what we're doing, both from a youth development and cycling perspective, but also having a reputation for taking care of places that we come visit. And so I'll start just by saying thank all of you all for being just having a good reputation in our community in the state of North Carolina. That's what led to this opportunity to get out here to this property in Fletcher, North Carolina. So we'll stick to the basic format like we usually do, probably about 30 minutes of overview of what to expect, and we'll end with questions and answers. Throughout the entire time, please put your questions into the chat window. Shelf Frost does a great job of moderating for us. Either she or another staff member will answer in the chat window, or after all three of our main sections, we'll pause and make sure we address those questions. And again, just like we usually do, we'll start with arrival and what to expect when you get there. We'll spend some time on Saturday, and then we'll spend some time on Sunday to give an overview. Like usual, we are here to support student athletes. So the first student athlete to ask a question tonight gets a prize from our league sponsor, Fidlock, discount code to some products on their website. And I normally end with weather, but let me talk just a little bit about weather right up front, just to say I've told the staff here to continue to plan like we're going to do this thing, because it's just easier to keep the train moving and then stop it by stopping it and trying to restart it. And the other reason is, and why we're still doing the town hall, is if we have to modify the plan in any way, it's always easier to have a baseline to start from. So if we go with a shortened schedule or something changes, it's always good to know kind of what the main plan was before we start changing things. Um, Given whatever the weather conditions are. And again, I'll host a weather call tomorrow at 11:15 to really probably make the big decision. But I'll finish with my thoughts on weather at the end. But as you hear what's going on with this venue, you'll see why weather can present us some challenges out here. So with that, let me share my screen as I normally do, and walk everyone through where to find the information about Five String Stampede. Because we're out west, it's got a Wild West theme. So come to the website, what's happening, come down to event schedule, and scroll on down to Five String Stampede. Event flyer, you click on that tab, it will bring you to our two-pager. I think most people are familiar with now. We will refer back to that often tonight, and we'll point out some new things for Five String Stampede and even the format of the flyer. But back on the main page, race preview video, so you can watch this new course we've set up. You can listen to yours truly huffing and puffing at the top of the big climb on there. Thank you, Sean, for recording that behind me the entire way on there. A place to still volunteer. We've got a few spots open. We'll hear from Diane in a little bit. Results, that is linked to the results page right now. We have been streaming live results every race. We will do the same here with a new edition we'll talk about. And then call-up lists have been posted for about 24 hours now. So let me go to the map here, and I just want to provide some arrival information before we go to a venue overview by Bent Harbor. And I think everyone knows right now that I've been fairly protective of the owner's address, but how to find the venue, if you look on your map application for the intersection of Jackson Road and Cadbury Way in Fletcher, This is the entrance to the venue. I put a Google Map link into the TeamSnap event for this event, so you can find even a Google Map link right there, but it'll take you right here. And as you come in off of Jackson Road and turn into the property, you come down a paved road for a little distance before you enter the venue. And this road turns to gravel right about here. And I'll leave it to Ben to give everyone an overview of the infield parking, infield pit zone, and all of that. I just wanted to give everyone a basic orientation of how to get there and your entrance into the venue. Before Ben talks about parking, we're pretty sure we're at or will be over capacity on at least on Sunday when we have typically a lot more spectators. We'll probably max out these parking facilities. So the gracious folks at Fernleaf Charter School back down Jackson Road have agreed for us to use their parking areas and are even providing a bus shuttle both Saturday and Sunday. The hours are in the venue guidance of the flyer. So Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Park your car here, pick up the shuttle right here, and then it will take you up to 30 people at a time back to the venue and a shuttle drop-off location right here. Just as normal, this is for people, not a lot of stuff. So you still need to get your bikes and gear down to the venue, drive back and catch the shuttle in. So again, Saturday, 11 to 5 p.m. and then Sunday, because it's longer day and more spectators, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll have that shuttle running at least every 30 minutes, but they are ready to come back and forth quicker if we start picking up with more capacity. So with that, let's go to Ben Harbor. Ben, I will still manipulate the map, but if you can give everyone an overview of what this infield and the venue looks like, please.
Yes, cool. Thank you, Brian. One thing I will add to the parking before we get all the into the infield is I do believe in our venue guidance and some of our communication we've said last week on a call, the after action report. Team trailers are not permitted in the venue. You'll need to park those over at the overflow and bring the contents over in separate vehicles. There's just not any room for turning vehicles and trailers around. If you do come in with a trailer because you didn't listen to get the word, didn't read the emails, we will turn you around at that paved parking before the gravel starts and send you back out. Again, there's no way to turn around a vehicle in there. So please respect that. Please communicate that to your teams. And as you're driving your vehicle in, as Brian said, it turns to gravel, and that is a single lane road coming in. So you'll come in, make that right-hand turn, and there will be parking volunteers that will graciously direct you to the different parking areas. We will caution you that most of the fields, if you have front-wheel drive or sedan or minivan type situations, please be cautious as you're driving. There may be uneven ground that you have to drive through, and you may drag bumpers or suspension or other objects under your vehicle. So be careful. When you park, please be mindful that you're on steep terrain, and you might want to tell all of your passengers to hold their doors as they open them to keep them from slinging out and bashing another vehicle. So that's some updates for parking that's different than all of our other venues. As you come in, you will have to park and hike your bike's equipment pit zone contents from your vehicle over to pit zone. This pit zone is going to be a little odd shaped because of terrain, but we will still have the team names out and the rows out, but please be aware it will change from what you typically see as the synchronized rows that we have on the pit zone map. So there will be some changes once we get on foot on ground and be able to set that up. There are small drainage ditches on both sides of the single path road. So be careful as you're stepping across off the road into the road and back off as you're moving equipment back and forth from your vehicles to pit zone. Pit zone will be in that big rectangle as Brian shows. If we zoom in close to what we call the heart of the venue, that big circle shaped is between pit zone and the circle shape is where we're doing our start line, and that'll go straight up into the woods, across and into the woods as we go into the double track heading up. And then you come out and you come out of the woods again, a nice little double track, enter into the open field again, and do a big wide of the infield. That's where a lot of the spectating will take place, is in that what we call the horseshoe. Great area to see all kinds of stuff happening right there. So there'll be a couple of course crossings you see in orange. Please respect those. If you see any kind of red tape, that's going to be for emergency response units to get in and out of the course if necessary. But I pray, as we always do, that we never have to use them. I'd rather than being sleeping in a hammock than deployed to help students. So please mind those course crossings. And then on the opposite side of all that horseshoe, we have our food trucks set up on the edge, our emergency response team right there on the corner as well. And then the league trailer headquarters merch stuff will be in the center of that horseshoe as well. It's all contained in less than a 2-acre circle. So be mindful that it is tight but fun to watch. And I think I covered everything in the infield there, Brian.
Ben, I think you did a fantastic job emphasizing it's very tight, intimate, we could say. We'll be close in there. I will use this as an opportunity to mention we put this in the venue guidance for the last event, but coaches, parents, even student athletes listening, keep your RC cars at home. We've had some issues in parking lots and with people tripping over those things and them even coming under the tape onto the race course. So let's keep the RC cars at home. And if you want to play with an RC car, do your Teen Trail Corps work and go check out the Teen Trail Quartet, and plenty of opportunity to play with the rut crawler over there. Last thing on arrival, hey, good job, home teams. I have noticed a lot of our Asheville area teams have signed up early to be volunteers. I think Friday is about the fullest we've ever seen it so far, and we're looking about 84% for volunteers, which is pretty good, but still some spots to fill. Diane, would you like to mention anything about volunteers for the weekend?
Okay, yeah, so thank you to everybody for signing up. We do still have some course marshal shifts that need to be filled. We also actually have a roving shift 2 that we need 1 person. So please be checking the sign up. We're also in need of 3 more pre-ride for the grip pre-ride. We need leaders or some coaches that will lead those rides with the girls. So again, just check the sign up Genius. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to hit myself or Jenny up. If you have any questions and you would like to put them in the chat box, please do that as well. Thank you for everyone who had signed up. We're looking good at 84%. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Diane. And let's pause here to see if there's any questions about arrival. I do see a few in the chat window in terms of shuttle hours and shuttle times. Again, if you go to venue guidance document in here, scroll down, there are the times of the shuttle. They will run every 30 minutes or more if the demand signal is there. That's the way we've set the shuttle service. So at least every 30 minutes in between those hours, but they'll just continue to make runs if they need to, the shuttle people. And I saw Shell answered Abby's question about the number of registered student athletes is fantastic. And I'll pause on the where is the grit tent located question, because we're about to go to programs on Saturday, and we'll address that then. But any other questions on arrival or the venue overview? Okay, well, let's go into Saturday then, schedule. And Shell, we'll start with programs like we usually do, because that's open at noon. And do you have any opening comments, or do you want to turn it right over to some of the programs leads tonight?
I'll turn it right over to them.
Okay. Let's go to Sharon. Here we go. Grit.
All right, good evening. All right, May 1st. This is going to be the 6th annual Women's Mountain Bike Day. So what better way to celebrate the day than to come to the Grit Pre-Ride to start? And right, we get the first view of the Fletcher race course, so all the more reason to come on. 11:45, you can start to check in. You will see us at the Grit tent before that time period, but we will be getting ready for the day's events. So if you can come anytime after 11:45 to check in for that ride, which will start rolling shortly afternoon once everyone comes back from the coach preview ride. So you will come with your race plate and your bike ready to roll and your wristband, and that applies to coaches as well. And then from 12 to 5, we'll have our general Grit tent activities. You can just come hang out, do a craft, play some games, practice with mechanical clinics, kits. And then from 1:30 to 2:30, there will be a chain repair clinic. We'll have our senior Grit ambassadors for the Grit mechanical project leading a chain repair clinic. So we'll provide you with a hands-on opportunity to work on fixing chains and answer any questions you will have. That way you'll be super confident with any chain issues to keep you rolling on the trails and avoid any outside assistant penalties during races. And remember to bring your adventure passport for that. And then 3 to 4, Grit Mentor Program. If you are in the Mentor Program, you will know that. And you're invited to join our senior Grit ambassadors between 3 and 4 for a special activity just for you. And you can bring your adventure passport and your bike for that. And our usual game hour from 4 to 5, you can come end the day with us and hang out. That's about it, Brian. And then if you want to show them on the map, if for that question about where Grit's located.
I do, and that question's coming from Bella Rose Grant, and that might be our first student athlete question of the evening, but keep me honest on that, Shell. And thank you for the question, Bella Rose. Actually, we don't know quite yet. This is one of those game day decisions we're going to make, and there's 2 possible locations for programs. In the center of the action, like Ben described, inside this horseshoe, that might be a place for it, or over here down this road in this open area here overlooking the lake, which is pretty nice area, a little further away, but pretty nice area over there. We need to get our eyes on a place and make sure we've got the space for it before we set that in. The cool part about it is programs areas are always very well marked with branded tents and flags and all that, so it won't be hard to find. So two areas possible there, Bella Rose, and thanks for the question. All right, well, Sharon, thanks again for the overview of all the Grit things. Let's roll over to adventure, and I think we got Bill Berry going to walk us through adventure plans for the day on Saturday.
Yep. Thank you, Brian, and thank you for pointing out the locations on the map, because adjacent to Grit and TTC, we will look forward to setting up our adventure area for all our student athletes. So in terms of our day's activities, again, as a reminder, bring your adventure passport if you have any items to get stamped off. And in particular, we're going to be hosting during the event a chain repair clinic. So you don't have to worry about bringing supplies. We won't use the chains on your bike, but we will be going through a chain repair clinic. So you can also get the passport stamped for that activity during the day. Other than that, we will have our items you may have seen in past race events and our skills area, both obstacles and bike games set up both on the bike and off the bike. And then we will set out our garage bunnies for our student athletes to be able to work on their manuals and bunny hops. Another activity we are thinking of doing, I think Shell will introduce a little bit later, the Trek Strider bike event. We might encourage our athletes at the adventure area to work on what a course for that could be. The other event, we will at the end of the afternoon do another Fidlock raffle. So you can enter the raffle if you have your passport stamped, if you do the chain repair. And we'd also just like to highlight that if anyone is celebrating the theme of Choose Your Own Adventure by coming in costume to the event, that also gets you into the raffle. So encourage that, and definitely shout out to all the folks who did that at Mayodan with the space theme. And then as a final reminder, we do have the race plate badges that have been submitted for student athletes that can be picked up in the adventure area on Saturday. So thank you, Brian. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Bill. And again, if you got questions about any adventure, throw them in the chat, but we'll pause at the end of the Saturday overview to make sure we catch all of those. Let's roll over to Leonard, our Teen Trail Corps coordinator, for an overview of the Teen Trail Corps things going on Saturday. Leonard, what do we got in store?
All right, Brian, this weekend we will have all of our normal games that we can fit into the venue. We'll definitely have the rock crawler there, and we'll have a raffle again at 4:30 for some Fidlock prizes and some other things, but this one is going to be different. We have a Meet the Trail Builder. Ed Sutton is going to take us on 2 ride and learns and teach us about the art and science of trail building. And those will meet at the TTC 10 at 12:15 and 2:15 with our bikes. We're ready to go. I'm looking forward to that myself. We'll have anything we can fit in there. Our axe throwing, we've got lawn darts, volleyball, badminton. We'll have all that going on too.
All right, that sounds great, Leonard, and pretty cool opportunity to meet the guy who built the trail that we get to race on. Pretty neat opportunity. He'll talk the kids through kind of how he was thinking of designing the thing, and even some tips on how to ride it, which is pretty neat. So again, any questions about any of the programs things, please throw them in the chat, and we'll pause here in a minute to catch any overall Saturday questions. But let's go next to Sean Moore, like we usually do. Talk a little bit about the course and course inspection, a little bit of a change in the schedule for this one. So Sean, go ahead and take it away, please.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. We do have a change in the schedule, but before I get started, I'd be remiss to say that it's really beneficial for your student athletes to check out the course preview video where there is telemetry overlay on it so that you can see just how steep the climbs are and how steep the descents are, what the speeds are like, all of those sorts of things. And then we have the handy breathometer that really tells you like when you're going to be breathing hard, when you're going to be able to recover, so you can tell like where the hard efforts are and where the chance for recovery is on the course. But we're going to change things up a little bit for this actual course inspection, and we're going to extend the times of red flag and yellow flag. This is because of the length of the climb and not wanting to bunch up. We are going to have the red flag go from 1 to 3. So 2-hour window for you to complete 1 lap with your 1 lap student athletes. And then from 3 to 5, we'll do the yellow flag. So 2 hours to complete 1 lap with your multi-lap racers. And then the green flag is going to be from 5 to 6. So a more compressed time, simply because your student athletes don't need to be out there doing a bunch of hill repeats than the day before a race. And so this will allow them enough time to go out there and kind of take a lap or so on their own at pace with a buddy. And then at 5:45 at the start line, we will have our coach meetup for the course sweep ride. And then at 6 o'clock, coaches, we will head out for that course sweep and do a final lap of the course to make sure that everyone is off the course, and then the courses will be closed. Also new at this venue, the Saturday and Sunday meetings, those are mandatory for head coaches. And we will be making sure that we've got a representative from each team that is present at the race. So please, head coaches, make sure that you are there for those meetings so that we can dispense all of the necessary information. We've got a little bit of a disconnect between sharing information and it being heard by everyone. And part of it is that not everyone is attending those meetings. And so head coaches, they are required for Saturday at 11:30 and then Sunday at 8:30.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Sean. And again, fantastic shirt for the town hall tonight. Awesome. Hey, Shell, Strider Bike Rodeo, 4:30 Saturday. What is going on there?
So the top 5 teams from the truck fundraiser, which is Pisgah Rage, Northwest or Northwake Trailhawks, Holy Trinity Catholic Middle School, IC Imagine in Onslow County, will be sending one coach and one student athlete from each of their teams to participate in some very ridiculous bike competitions on Strider bikes. This will be set up in the programs area, most likely the adventure area. That's going to depend on setup when we get there. This is a venue we've never set up at before, so we'll see what that looks like the day of. But participants should show up at 4:15 and come take a look at what they've got going on at 4:30 as they compete against each other in a series of bike games. So should be pretty fun and pretty ridiculous.
And Shell, why don't you roll right into Blacklight Showdown, and then I'll pick up Senior Night to close out Saturday.
So Blacklight Showdown will start at 7 o'clock. If you can please have your student athletes there on time, it would make our lives a lot easier. We've got about 80 registered for this, and not needing to use the coaches we have on hand to help run the event to continually check people in after it has begun would be a huge help. It should be a lot of fun. We've got light up capture the flag game that is pretty cool, and adventure committee member Jason Calicut has thoroughly tested it with his boys and says it's a lot of fun. So we'll have that going on, and we'll also have black lights up and bike games going on that glow, and black lights for the front of everyone's bike, so it should be a fun time.
All right, sounds pretty cool. And also in the evening, 6:30, we'll gather the seniors like we did last season for our version of Senior Night, really popular last season. But 6:30, we'll gather the seniors in the Trek area. The Trek will be adjacent to the programs area. They're providing burgers, dogs, chips, drinks. We'll hang out, play some games that Trek's providing. And then about 8 o'clock, I'll give a night ride brief. Trek is also providing bike lights for any senior that doesn't have bike lights. And then about 8:15, we'll roll out on the course and get a lap in under lights. And everyone really enjoyed that last year. And then Sunday morning, as a way of transition into Sunday, everyone will wake up and see a poster of each senior student athlete on the snow fence around the finish line, also provided by Trek. And we're very thankful that they do that. It's a nice touch to recognize our seniors before they launch out of their NICA experience. So I'll pause there on Saturday, see if we have any questions we want to address now before we give an overview of Sunday and go to general Q&A. Shell, are we pretty much caught up on the questions through Saturday?
I believe so. And Sydney had a question about the Meet the Trail Builder ride overlapping other things. That should be pretty much a non-issue. It's a pretty wide course with plenty of passing all the way up the hill, and they will not be stopping in the course blocking anyone at any time. So,
all right, thanks for addressing that, Shell. All right, so let's go to Sunday then. I'll give everyone an overview of that let me go back to the map. Not a ton of trail on the private property, but I did want to point out to everyone here, we do have a portion of trail right here, and it comes back down this gravel road. We're calling that the warm-up loop. That will be coach led, but it is available come 8 o'clock Sunday morning and throughout the day, warm up or cool down about a half a mile to help spin the legs before your race. I mentioned call-up lists are posted. The schedule is in the flyer for Sunday. Let me pull that up real quick. We do have a half-day schedule built. Thank you for the team that put that together, even a half-day volunteer schedule. If we try and condense into, say, Sunday morning, you'd think about it like Mayodan, how we did a half-day schedule, reducing some laps just to mitigate weather impacts. That's an option for us and the like. So we're prepared for that. Let me just show a couple things on both the flyer and the map. Much like we've done in the past 2 races, we will have a King of the Mountain and Queen of the Mountain segment, and it is the climb. So just like Sean said, go watch that race course preview video. Here's the first track box. You're in the woods for just a little bit, and before you begin that climb up the course, you'll pass one track box, which is just a way to measure where folks are on the climb. But all the way at the top of the hill, that's the end of the King of the Mountain and Queen of the Mountain segment. And for this one, thank you to Shell for creating some medals. We will hand out a medal to the King, Queen of the Mountain in each category for this race. And you can watch the results if you go to our results page here, and that is already linked in the flyer, and click on this King of the Mountain, Queen of the Mountain. As each category finishes, you can see the times for those categories. So thank you very much to Jeremy Kavanaugh for setting this up, who leads our timing team. It's a pretty cool thing to do. So we will recognize King and Queen of the Mountain. The other thing I want to point out, let me go back to the map. Ben said in a nice way, the best place to watch the race is in our horseshoe here, because it's really tough to get back into the woods. There's not a lot of spectating. This is a big hill right here. It's really tough to get out to the race course. We'll take a look on Friday about maybe some pathways around this portion of the course, but it's pretty tough to get back there and watch student athletes actually on the course. But we've got a nice feature for this event. And again, thanks to Jeremy Kavanaugh, Sean Moore for figuring this out. They beta tested it at Mayodan, but we will be able to live stream our finish line camera. So that will go to our YouTube channel. You can go to the QR code, or you can click that link there. All day Sunday during the race, we will live stream the finish line camera. So even folks off site can catch a glimpse of their racer coming across the finish line. That's a pretty cool feature for us, and we will, every time we can, we will just continue to do that for our races. Pretty nice. And then the last thing I'll just say on closeout, back to that theme of taking care of places, which we do a really good job of. This is different than our municipalities. No one providing trash cans and recycle bins for us. We will have a dumpster contracted, and that's where you bring your trash. So bag up your trash, bring it to the dumpster on your way out, or at the end of the day. There's not going to be bins by the food trucks or bins around pit zone like we have in some places, just a big dumpster to put your trash in. So let's pause there, see if we have any questions on Saturday that we haven't addressed, and then I will give my thoughts on the weather for the weekend, and then we'll just open up for general questions. And Shell, how are we doing in the chat room?
I think we're good.
Brian, the one thing I wanted to add to your discussion about the warm-up loop was that there are animals in a pen beside portions of the warm-up loop, and there are basically herd dogs, so working dogs, and we will have signs up, but they are not to be approached. It's not a petting zoo, and they're not animals that you want to pet, and the dogs are not dogs that are there to be friendly. They're there to protect the animals. So we want to have as little interaction between student athletes, coaches, and those animals as possible.
Thanks for pointing that out, Sean. I'm circling the map right now. In this area, when you're coming back to the gravel road, you will see those animals right there around the barn. So thanks for pointing that out, Sean. Okay, we'll still keep,
there's one great question, sorry, that just came through in the chat. So go back to the map and let's see the turnaround point. So for the gear drop, they're talking about going back to the shuttle. Where's the good place to drop gear and turn around and get back out? And I think you had discussed that. We had discussed it on a meeting, but I don't know if you pointed it out tonight.
Right here, this is a little paved, expanded driveway right here that gives plenty of room to turn around. So that's our turnaround spot right there. And also our shuttle stop. So there will be a bus in there every so often, but drop and then bring your stuff down into the venue. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, any other questions about the weekend, except for the big one? So let me talk about the weather. And right now the forecast makes it look hard to pull off this event safely and appropriately. A lot of rain, upwards of an inch across both days, and then decent chances of storms both days, which shut us down. We have to evacuate trail and send people back to shelter. Shelter is your car or truck. And if we have people offsite and overflow a lot, that just extends our time to evacuate the venue while those storms pass through. And again, that just makes it really, really hard. So barring any major change in the forecast by tomorrow morning, of which I will host a call with our meteorologist, the landowner, the trail builder, and members of the staff to evaluate the conditions, it's going to be hard to execute the full schedule. I mentioned we've got some options to do some reduced schedule things, but as you can see from this venue, it already has its challenges when it's dry. I think talking to Ed Sutton this morning, who worked all winter on the trail and did drive in those fields with a lot of rain, he said you really need to be an expert 4x4 driver to drive in some of those fields. And that's going to present some challenges just to get people parked safely in there. And then a pretty slick trail coming downhill, like Sean mentioned, if you watch that course preview video, gets pretty fast coming downhill. That might present a risk that just isn't acceptable. So we'll give it as much time as we can. We always promise the call by Thursday at noon so people can plan appropriately. But right now, not looking too good. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. That's what the weather has dealt us for this weekend. So, okay, let's pause there. We'll get any other questions on the table and answer those the best we can. And Dave McBride, very, very perceptive, that Dave McBride. Go
It
ahead,
is
Sean.
not my fault. We don't have a threat of rain because I shaved. I don't. So causation and correlation, no. Like, understand the difference.
I think Sean just wanted to ride Dark Mountain this weekend. I think that's what it was.
And for Abby, no, there's no rain date for this season. We've got a couple options. You know, this could become, assuming cancellation, just the best 3 of 4 race series, and then as I've said before, a winner take all championship, or I could consider adding season showdown as another part of the series. I think we'll deal with that once we get past the big decision and maybe get that out early next week in terms of how we handle the rest of the season. But no rain date. Yes, Abby, to answer your question. And no, Sean, not an option to move to next weekend. Again, no rain date as part of the plan for this season. Well, fair point, Ben, but I'm married to a mother that loves riding her bike, so I'm not sure that would slow her down at all. But yes, fair.
Yes,
People-
several of us that have those as well. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, I think the questions are trickling off and probably just waiting on yours truly to make that decision tomorrow morning. So I'll just say, hey, thank you everyone for dialing in. Thanks to the staff. Thanks to everyone that helped make this event possible. It is a new one, pretty exciting. Very sad about the weather, but again, that's the cards we've been dealt for this one. And we'll again just make the best decision we can tomorrow. So with that, Sean, I think we can stop the recording and everyone have a great night.